Hello, my name is Jerome James, and I'm doing this presentation, YouTube presentation for our ethics class. And the topic that I've chosen to do is regarding to workplace privacy and employers monitoring their employees. And the ethics test that I'm using is called the IBE Institute of Business Ethics Test, and this is the ethics test that I use for my three ethical analysis. And I found that using this ethical test that I was able to get 5 out of 5 on each of my analysis. So I decided to use it for this presentation. And so for this ethics test, it has three parts. The first part is transparency, and transparency is defined here as: do I or a business mind others knowing what I have decided? The second is effect: who does my decision affect or hurt? And the third is fairness: would my decision be considered fair by those who are affected? After choosing this topic and looking it up, I realized that one of the reasons for an employer monitoring their employees is because of protection. They decided that they want to be able to protect themselves, protect their equipment from attacks. And one kind of issue here is called a logic bomb, and this is defined as a program or a set of procedures that performs a malicious action as a result of a certain logic condition. And I have two examples of these. And the first one is that in March of 2002, a logic bomb planted by a disgruntled former employee deleted 10 billion files belonging to an international financial service company. The second example has more details to it, and you can see why this is unethical on the part of the employee. A programmer named Tim Lloyd was convicted of using a logic bomb against his former employer, Omega Engineering Corporation, on July 31st of 1996. The logic bomb was triggered on the server for Omega Engineering's manufacturing operations. Files on the server were destroyed. Lloyd was actually a server administrator and had the only backups of the server on tape, and everything else was erased. And he also erased the backups as well. This action by Tim Lloyd caused the company millions of dollars in damages, and because of the cost of those damages, it resulted with many employees being laid off. And so you see here the actions by these employees unethically cause harm to not only the company but also to other employees within those organizations. And you can see here why an employer or a company would want to use monitoring for the case of protection, to be able to protect themselves, be able to protect their company, be able to protect their equipment. And so I kind of see it in that sense of protection as being ethical, but it wouldn't be fair to argue one side without arguing the other. And for the other side, I've learned that it could actually cause an employee harm from an employer using monitoring. And one case would be that in one recent case, two McDonald's restaurant employees used voicemail to transmit love messages during an affair. They believed that these messages were private since the firm told them that only they had the access codes. The franchise owner monitored the voicemail messages and later played messages for the wife of one of the workers. The lovers sued for invasion of privacy. They later settled for several $million outside of case. So one thing that could be argued here is that the employer gathered this personal information regarding their employees and used it and shared it with a third party. And that's one of the fears that employees have within employers monitoring the employees, the information gathered and how it could be used against them. So here you see an unethical action by the employer using the information and using the information and causing harm to those employees, even though the action that they might be doing within the McDonald's organization might have been breaking rules, but the employer themselves did an unethical action by taking that personal information and sharing it with a third party. After going through these, I've found that for an employer to be able to monitor their employees, they need to follow kind of certain guidelines to stay within an ethical boundary. I'm going to be going over those ethical boundaries right now. So for an employer to be able to monitor their employees and be ethical, certain guidelines like there should be no monitoring in highly private areas, and an example of these highly private areas would be restrooms. Monitoring should be limited to the workplace. Because the employers, in monitoring for the sake of protection, they should be monitoring while the employees are working, while they are doing what they're doing within the workplace, within their workstation, within and around the work equipment. Another will be employees should have full access to any information gathered through monitoring, and to realize that for an employer, the information that they're gathering on the employees is their private information, and that the employees should be able to have access to that information and to know what information has been gathered by the employee. And that kind of falls under transparency for the ethics test. Do I or a business mind others knowing what I have decided? The next two also fall under transparency, and it says here that all forms of secret monitoring should be banned. Advance notice should be given to the employee. So for the employer to protect themselves and to stay ethical, they should let the employees know that they are taking action to monitor what the employees are doing on the computers, on the work phones, if there's company vehicles, where they're taking the company vehicles. So these are things that an employer should make known to employees, and that should keep them aware, and that should protect them from the employees accusing the employers of violating their privacy. The last two is only information relevant to the job should be collected, and monitoring should result in the attainment of some business interest, so that the information that is collected has to pertain somehow to the workplace, to the company, to the job that's being done. It shouldn't be about an upset boss or an angry boss trying to find information on their employers in order to find a reason to fire them. It should be pertaining to the job. It should be pertaining to what they're doing on the, let's say, company computers, and whether or not what they're doing is benefiting the company. Are they wasting time on Facebook and getting paid for it? So these are the certain boundaries that should be followed by an employer in order to stay ethical. So this is my presentation. We've kind of seen how the monitoring can be ethical for the employer to protect themselves, and also we've seen how it could be unethical towards the employee and cause harm and damage. So there's a lot of gray areas still remaining within workplace privacy, and it seems like a lot of time when this gets taken to court, it could be the same issue, but a judge might decide on it in different ways, and a lot of times they get settled outside of court because there are a lot of gray areas still in workplace privacy, especially with technology getting more and more sophisticated. For instance, a lot more employees are working at home, and how would you monitor employees working at home, and how could you protect yourself from invading their personal privacy while monitoring employees working at home? So a lot of as technology continues to become more sophisticated, so these ethical rules that are in place, or these laws that are in place, has to continue to evolve. So if employers monitoring their employees, as long as they follow these guidelines, I think it is ethical, and I think they do have a right to be able to protect themselves, protect their equipment, and also their employees. But they need to follow rules and do it correctly. So thank you again. My name is Jerome James. Thank you.